All right, welcome back. Episode 17, I believe, of the Empty Gym podcast. Joined today by Adam Pollard. We got some conference finals to talk about. We got some PGA golf to talk about. Not a whole lot else going on. We're kind of getting closer and closer to the dog days when it's just baseball. So, cherishing it while we still have some other sports going on instead of just baseball all the time. But yeah, I guess we'll start off with NBA conference finals. Last night, the Celtics stayed alive. Looked like a completely different team than what we've seen, especially in Game Three, but even a little bit in Games One of Two. Like they showed kind of flashes of it in Games One and Two. We're able to keep those ones a little closer, but Game Three just looked terrible. And then last night, looked bad a little bit to start. I think they had like 6 or 7 turnovers in the first quarter alone. And then in the third quarter, really got it going. I think they outscored outscored Miami by like 20 in the third quarter. I'll check to make sure. Yeah, or by 15, 38-23. So they really pulled away in the third. Uh, Jason Tatum looked a lot better. It just kind of looked like the Celtics from the regular season, the Celtics from Game 7, and like it kind of shows what they're capable of, but they've been very inconsistent. But uh, stay alive and now go back to Boston for Game 5.
Yeah, the Celtics live to see another day. We'll find out how long that lasts with their record at home this playoffs. But yeah, it was good for the Celtics to see Tatum step up this series after he breaks the all-time Game 7 playoff point record with 51 points, and then it kind of feels like he's non-existent this playoffs. Um, One thing that I think for the Celtics, if you look at this whole series as a whole, is with for Jason Tatum with Jimmy Butler as his primary defender, he has been just virtually not there. And what Jimmy Butler is doing in these playoffs is incredible because with obviously his offensive numbers are off the charts. You know, you're seeing him carry the heat in, night out. But what he's doing on the defensive side of the ball is crazy. It's kind of one of those things like not on the stat sheet, and you really have to watch the full game to see it. And Jimmy Butler is just kind of doing a very good job of taking Jason Tatum out of the equation for the Celtics.
Yeah, Jimmy obviously defensively one of the best two-way guys in the league. Offensively was great last night too. He had 29, 9, and 5. Game 3 wasn't great offense. I mean, not say it wasn't great. He only had 16, but he was really good at kind of facilitating, getting other guys involved. Game 3 was a big one where I thought, and kind of going into this series, like we talked about when we were previewing it last week, uh, I thought Celtics, uh, like you hear Kenny and Chuck kind of talk about it on the pregame and the halftime and the postgame, but uh, Kenny especially, I remember him saying like 1 and 2, like your number one, number two guys don't really win series. It's your 3, 4, 5, 6, and we both talked about. I thought the Celtics 3, 4, 5, 6 guys like Horford and White, Brogdon throw in there smart. I thought they were going to be the difference in this series. But it's been the 3, 4, 5, 6 guys for Miami, like Gabe Vincent, um, Robinson, Struess, Caleb Martin, especially. This series has been insane. Last night, those guys did not play as good. Vincent and Martin played pretty solid. Martin, especially in the first half, and then kind of cooled off in the second half, uh, like most of the other Heat. I think he had like 14 point, or like, I think he had all 16 in the first half, maybe. But I know I remember at one point he had like 10 points in 11 minutes and was perfect from the field. Uh, and like those, like I said, those 3, 4, 5, 6 guys for the Heat have been playing great, which I think is like the biggest difference in this series. Obviously, you got to have your star in Jimmy Butler. Bam Adebayo has stepped up a lot this series, which is something me and you talked about. How we thought Bam kind of had to be more of what he's capable of than he's shown in some of these playoff games this year. But I'm just interested about like uh, just with the depth that the Heat have. I was not expecting this at all.
No, and when we did our finals, conference finals preview on this series, first of all, I was entirely wrong. I thought this would be
Same.
over for the Celtics in five. I said five at most. So I'm hand up there. I was entirely wrong.
Well, you
But
might
yeah,
still be right, just the other way. But
we could be.
I believe I said Celtics in 5, max 6, I think, and I was way off too.
Yeah, and we also pointed out that I said that the Heat's bench, I just didn't feel like because the Celtics are known as like probably one of the deepest teams in the NBA with their bench, and like you said, playoffs are won with those 3, 4, 5, and 6 guys. And the Celtics have a very good 3, 4, 5, 6 guys who all have been in the starting rotation, who can all go out and start on any playoff team this year. Um, but yeah, they just haven't kind of stepped up in a way, and it just feels like those undrafted Heat guys who they are very good at picking out just come to play night in, night out. But you'll have those guys where, you know, like you said, Gabe Vincent, maybe he won't have the best game one, but game two, he'll have a great game. And the guy who had a great game on game one, maybe he'll take a night off. It's just people step up for the Heat when they need to. And another thing I thought was interesting, Eric Spoelstra, I think he's far and away the best coach in the NBA now. He's been up there, but I think it's locked in now. I think Spo is the best coach in the NBA. But he was just kind of saying that I think there was a quote. He said, "Ball in the air, ball on the ground, it's ours." And you can tell because in the NBA you don't see that too much. Diving for loose balls, fighting for offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, putting in that extra effort. You don't see that too much in the NBA, but with the Heat, you see it. It seems like every possession they come to play and they go get those loose balls, get those extra possessions that make differences in basketball games.
Yeah, I mean, another thing going off that, like those hustle stats kind of goes along with what you're talking about. Something I saw last night was that uh, at one, I can't remember if they took another one later in that game or not, but uh, Jimmy Butler took a charge in the second quarter, and they flashed up a stat that said something like, I believe it was 19 charges that the Heat have taken this playoffs, and the next closest was the Warriors at like 11. So they're just dominating stats like that, especially games 1, 2, and 3. Especially game 3, I felt like they were getting every loose ball, kind of like you talked about. Uh, they were just dominating every facet of the game, which allowed them to dominate the scoreboard. Because I mean, they don't have the prolific scorers that like you don't look at these names and think of them as big scorers besides Jimmy and Bam when he's on. But these guys are just like kind of rallying, gritting it out, getting extra possessions, and when you get extra possessions in a game, it gives you a better shot of winning. Obviously, but I think kind of like looking forward to the rest of this series. Um, I'm not saying that the Celtics are going to win this series. I don't think they are, but uh, I think that they are capable of doing it. I think that if the Celtics play like they did last night and uh, do that obviously 3 more times in a row, uh, I think they like this whole series. I've thought they're definitely a more talented team than the Heat. They're just not kind of playing up to their expectations, especially when you look at Tatum and Brown. I mean, Tatum. The thing that makes me mad about Tatum is that if you just looked at the box score at the end of the game, uh, he's averaging probably like 30 in this series almost. I don't think he played very well in game 3, but he's getting like almost 30. I think he got 30 plus in both game 1 and game 2. And so you look at that and you're like, oh, Tatum had a good night and no one else did. Like, what's going on? But it's kind of like how the points come. Like, especially those first 2 games in the fourth quarter. And this was what he struggled with too. And at points in the Philadelphia series. In that fourth quarter, he just folds and just like does not look like he wants to compete at all, and like is turning the ball over all the time. Uh, so obviously they have to avoid that, but if Tatum plays like he's capable of and Brown plays like he's capable of, I think uh, this series is not necessarily over. I mean, like obviously they going back to Game 5 in Boston. If they can win that, now it's 3-2. Then they go back to Miami, only down 3-2. Uh, it's possible. Like I think game. I think trying to figure out how to word this, but like winning game, like obviously every game's a must win from this point on. But if you win Game 5 for the Celtics, now maybe the Heat are kind of on their heels a little bit. Like media starts to talk about, can this be the first comeback from down 3-0? So I think there's still a chance, but uh, if they do win Game 5, that Game 6 of Miami is going to be tough because Miami's not going to want to go back to Boston for Game 7.
Yeah, you're completely right. It's I mean, did you see all the quotes that Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown were saying before the
Uh-uh.
game? Like, they both asked them. I don't know what the question was. They both asked them, but they both said like, "Don't let us get one." And I think that's right. I do still think that the Celtics are the better team. It's weird to say that when they were down 3-0, but I think the Celtics are still the better team. It's kind of weird for the Heat because in the Bucks series when they were up 3-1, it was kind of everyone was still like, all right, I'm not surprised if the Bucks come back and win this series, and I'm still not surprised if the Heat come back or the Celtics come back and win this series. It's kind of a weird series, but if the Celtics play like they're capable of, like you said, I would not be surprised if they come back and win this series.
Yeah, I think this Game 5 is huge. I think if Miami can end it in Boston and not have to go to a Game 6, not bring kind of that doubt, let that doubt start to creep in, let the media start talking about it. I think that's obviously it's huge for Miami because then they've won the series. But uh, I think like not letting it get to that point, because if it gets to a Game 6, I'd start to get a little scared if I was Miami because then, uh, like I've kind of mentioned before, like everyone starts talking about it. It was actually I saw a video yesterday of uh, Kevin Millar from the '04 Red Sox. The '04 Red Sox were in the same exact situation. ALCS down 3-0 to the Yankees, and he's walking around the during BP the whole time, talking to reporters and talking to other players and talking to even fans. He was like, "Don't let us get this one." Kind of like you said with Smart and Brown, like, "Don't let us get one." He's like, "Game 5 we got Pedro, Game 6 we got Schilling, and then Game 7 who knows what happens." So it's kind of like the same thing for the Celtics right now. Uh, the Heat giving up that Game 4, like it might not seem like that big of a deal, but then Game 5, you're in Boston. Game 6, the doubt starts to creep in, and then who knows what happens in Game 7. So I think this series is definitely not over. Uh, I think this Game 5 is huge because I think uh, if the Celtics can pull this off and then start to get some momentum going, this could easily turn into a Celtics win because then you're down to Celtics only needing 2 more wins and uh, but the other thing too is it's still the Celtics and it's still probably the most frustrating team in the NBA because you can see what they're capable of at times and then it just sometimes it just looks like they forgot how to play basketball or something.
Yeah, you're entirely right. One other thing regarding this series, I think in NBA especially, in college you can see it, but in NBA you don't really see it too much. Where a team's in a matchup in a series matchup playoffs, where a coach can entirely outcoach the other coach, and I think Spo is just you know entirely outcoaching Joe Mazzulla here. Joe Mazzulla is just he's not fit for this caliber of team that he's with. I think if he starts off with a 8, 9, 10 seed and then kind of works his way up and then gets to this point with a team, he'll be pretty good. But when he's thrown into a team like the Celtics and he is forced to make these big decisions, and especially going up against a coach like Eric Spoelstra, where Spoelstra is just, line change here, where if he sees something really quick, timeout. I'm going to switch players out. put a new game plan, all that kind of thing. I think it was game 3 where the Celtics, the Heat went on like a 14-0 run or something like that, and he didn't call a timeout.
Yeah.
And then at the start of the third quarter, the Celtics went on like a 6-0 run, and Spoelstra just said, call the timeout real quick. I think it was like within 90 seconds, he called a timeout, which it may not look like a huge difference or a huge deal because it's the NBA, and realistically, not a lot of those players need to be necessarily coached in a way. But for a coach like Spoelstra to come in and just like he's been here before many times, and he's, like I said, far and out the best coach in the NBA by far right now. But for him to come out and just completely outcoach Joe Mazzulla, I think it's just a huge factor in this series that is kind of going under the radar in a way.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think exactly what you said with college and NBA. It's much more easy to see in college. NBA, just like the way the game's played and the emphasis on the players as well. Like coaches probably don't get as much credit as they should. Obviously, the players are the ones that got to go out and make the plays, but and then in the regular season, who knows how much coaching is actually involved when you have like so many back-to-backs and stuff like that, where and games so quickly one after another, you can't really like implement a scout sometimes as much as you probably would want to if you're a coach, but you just kind of like got to go do it. But then in the playoffs, it kind of gets more emphasized when you start playing 6, 7 games in a row against the same team, and you can start implementing more schemes and implementing more game plans. But you're exactly right with Missoula. That's been one of the biggest concerns, I think, from a lot of Celtics fans. Like just like what I'm seeing scrolling on Twitter and stuff like that. They're like Missoula just not knowing when to call timeouts. I mean, like, I guess you take it with a grain of salt a little bit. I mean, like, the guy's 35. He was on the second row for the Celtics last year, like behind the bench assistant, not even like one of the lead assistants for the Celtics. And then, like, right as training camp starts, he becomes the head coach because of incidents with Ime Udoka. So, like, he was kind of thrown into the fire pretty quick and didn't get much chance to prepare for it or anything. So, like, you feel for him there a little bit, but at the same time, like, you've had a whole season to kind of get used to this now. Like, I get it's his first playoffs, but uh, it's just, but you kind of feel for him too in a sense that his first playoffs when he's in the Eastern Conference Finals, he's going up against an 8 seed that's probably not really an 8 seed, if that makes sense. Like they're they're technically an 8 seed, but I mean, like, you got a guy like Jimmy, you got the team they have. Probably should be more of like at least like a 6 or a 5 or even the top half of the playoffs, but or of the seeding. And also along with that, have to go up against a coach like Eric Spoelstra. Like, kind of feel for him a little bit just with how like the situation he's thrown into in his first year. But at the same time, you got one of the top at least 10 players in the NBA with Jason Tatum, and probably like a top 20 guy with Jaylen Brown. So, and you've got a great team that won 57 games in the regular season, has been to the conference finals like 4 out of the last 7 years or something like that, if not more. So at some point, there's not really much excuse either. But I feel like the media narrative too, like, kind of gets thrown at him a little bit. It's like you're a 2 seed with a guy like Jason Tatum, and you're about to get swept by an 8 seed, and like that's not exactly the situation that it sounds like it is. But at the same time, he's got a lot to figure out. I think this series can probably save his job. I like in Boston. The way the Celtics franchise is, you don't really have much time to kind of get everything set up and get working, especially with the success they've had in the past few years. Like, you're not going to get a whole lot of slack cut for you. So, would not be surprised if they let him go after this year, just with the way everything's turned out. But I think you're definitely seeing Spoelstra just extremely outcoach Missoula, and it's been evident in these first 4 games. Do you have anything else wrapping up this series before we move on to Lakers Nuggets?
No, I don't. But I think this series is going to get really interesting if the Celtics win Game 5. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, it'll be over if the Heat win, but
Yeah.
I think it'll get a lot more interesting if they win Game 5.
Yeah, it's kind of weird saying it because, like, obviously it
Hmm.
can't get interesting if the Heat win it because it's over. But like, it's kind of hard to articulate. But I hope people know what I mean. Where it's like,
Yeah.
if they do win Game 5, like this can start to get really interesting because then Boston's got some momentum rolling. I mean, they still have Jason Tatum. It's like they still have a top 10 player in the league uh, who can go off for 40 plus, even 50 plus whenever he wants, if he wants to. That's just the question is if he wants to or not some nights, feels like. But Game 5 is huge, I think, huge for Miami. I think they have to win it. Not necessarily have to, obviously, like they got two more chances, but I think if they don't end it in Game 5 at Boston, I think this could start to get very interesting, and you could see the rope start to slip away from them a little bit. But I think Game 5 is going to be a very, very fun one. I think it should be tomorrow night, right?
Yep. Yep. Tomorrow night.
All right. Well, with that, uh, the second GOAT has been swept out of the playoffs. Uh,
Good
did
brooms out.
did have a phenomenal first half in game 4, just kind of willing the Lakers to try to stay in it. Um, Kind of slowed down in the second half. But I mean, like at the same time, he played like every minute of the game, and it's just like he's not 27, he's not like 32 anymore. He's 38. Uh, he like you're. I feel like everyone was kind of thinking that LeBron was just gonna take over in that fourth quarter, and it's like, dude, like he's. I get he's still a phenomenal player, even being 38, and like I'm one of the biggest LeBron haters of all time. So like for me to come out and say that, like he's still a phenomenal player, but he's 38 years old. You can't expect him to play 48 minutes, uh, just balls to the wall the whole time. And it looked very evident that he kind of ran out of gas, started kind of deferring to people in the fourth quarter instead of. I think everyone was kind of thinking like, why is LeBron not going to the rim? It's like, dude, like I think he's gassed right now. Uh, Good showing from him, especially in the first half. But Denver ended up just being too much for them.
I will give LeBron a little bit of credit here. I think this is one of the best chess moves that I've seen in a while here. Um, After the game, he comes out and says that he's going to consider retirement. He said he's got a lot to think about regarding him playing basketball, the game of basketball, all this stuff. So basically, what he did was shift the media's focus from him getting swept in the conference finals over to, oh, LeBron might retire next year. And everything that you see on the media, Twitter, Instagram, Sports Center showing it is LeBron LeBron's retirement. Could that happen? What's here, what's there, kind of breaking that down instead of breaking down the fact that he just got swept. And I feel like it's kind of, I mean, hey, great chess move, like I said, incredible move. I mean, it advanced stat play there. But come on, give the Nuggets some credit there. I mean,
Yeah,
you don't really see them. It's just not like, oh, hey, the Nuggets just swept the Lakers. It's like LeBron might retire. Or it's like even when the series was like 2-0 Nuggets, it was Lakers are down 2-0. Lakers are down 0-3. It was never Nuggets here. Nuggets up 1-0. Nuggets win. Nuggets win. It was always Lakers lose. They're down. What's up? What can the Lakers do? It's not how what did the Nuggets do good here? And so I kind of feel for the Nuggets there, Nuggets fans. If there are many of you still left. But congratulations, Nuggets. Jokic is a baller. It's insane watching him play.
yeah. I do want to talk about the LeBron retirement a little bit, but first I want to talk about the Nuggets because, like you said, the Nuggets have just been disrespected this whole series. Uh, I was guilty of it. Game 1, we did a podcast the morning after Game 1, and I said, watch out for the Lakers. They figured out something with Rui on Jokic. And it was like 10 possessions of the game of the fourth quarter and the third quarter. Uh, and then Jokic ends up balling out the rest of the series, no matter who's guarding him. So I fell into that trap too. After game 2, I was like, same thing. I was like, all right, Lakers are down 0-2, but I think they're starting to figure it out a little bit. I think this could be a competitive series. Lakers go down 3-0. I'm like, all right, Lakers down 3-0, but you know what? I think they might be starting to figure some stuff out. Might be able to pull it, like, at least make a run at this series. Um, and I was like, in no way LeBron gets swept in the conference finals. Like, this is picture perfect for the NBA. Uh, they're gonna try and like get LeBron to come back from 3-0 as a 38-year-old, try to like create this amazing story.
And they tried game 3. Game
they
3, they really tried.
they tried very hard game 3. But it's like the Nuggets are just really good. Like Jokic obviously probably should have been MVP. It like just played out of his mind the whole series. Didn't play great game 3, but Jamal Murray this whole series, I think he averaged like 32 a game this series. He was absurd, especially that fourth quarter of game 3. He just went ballistic. Uh, it's just like this Nuggets team is just like really, really good. And I felt like I said, I fell into the trap. I probably didn't give them as much credit as I should have, but uh, I think no matter who, even if the Celtics do somehow pull out some miracle run in this Eastern Conference Finals, I think the Nuggets got to be the heavy favorite in the finals, no matter who they play.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was a big Nuggets fan for this entire week, as most people were. I feel, but one thing I was listening to, it was from Kirk Goldsberry. He's an NBA analyst right now, but he was also in the front office with the San Antonio Spurs, with when they had on that dynasty with Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker. He said one thing that kind of caught my mind, and it was um, that Jokic might be one of the toughest and most just weirdest matchups that LeBron has ever had to play in the playoffs, which I kind of thought was right. Because you think about it, Jokic can kill you from anywhere on the court.
Yeah.
If you allow him to get down low, he's going to kill you. You get him to the free throw line, he's going to kill you there. He'll kill you off ball. He's very good at facilitating. It's not like you can, he can make threes too. You can't just leave him out there to shoot threes. You got to give him. You got to get right up on him, because if you don't, and the Nuggets are very good at playing off the ball and off Jokic too, to give some of them credit. But Jokic is incredible at finding other people, bringing the attention to him, even if he's not going to score, he's going to facilitate to let other people score and get other people open. And I think what he was saying was the only person that you can kind of compare it to with Jokic and LeBron in the playoffs would be Dirk. And, we all know how that happened. Dirk beat him in the finals. So I think it's kind of something interesting to look at. I'm not giving LeBron a little hall pass here by any means, because he does have Anthony Davis on his team. But it is kind of something interesting to look at, and how Jokic just pretty much dominated the series night in, night out.
Yeah, I mean Jokic, like 7 foot 280, probably one of the top facilitators in the league. Um, I think even to a fault that sometimes he's almost too unselfish. I feel like there's sometimes when he's around the rim, especially in transition when he brings the ball up, like he'll get a rebound and bring it up and get to the middle of the paint, and then sometimes he'll like go up, look like he's shooting like a floater or something, and then throw some crazy one-hand pass or like flip pass or something like that. And I feel like, I mean, he's still scoring like almost 30, or he's scoring over 30 a game almost all the time. And I still feel like he could take more shots and be a little bit more, not selfish, but kind of be less unselfish, if that makes sense. Uh, but even then, like, he's making these crazy passes, especially in transition. He's amazing when he gets the ball at the high post. People just, like, the Nuggets just play so well off it with back cuts and off-ball screens and stuff like that. And it's just, like, I kind of do want the Heat to win this series, just because I think, like, the Heat defense going up against that Nuggets offense will be a ton of fun to watch. And just seeing, like, because the Nuggets have probably the most fun offense to watch in the league. Just the way it kind of reminds me of the Warriors from a couple years ago, when everything's just so free flowing and so much great off-ball movement and opening up for each other, and uh, the Nuggets are just so fun to watch. And I'm hoping, like, even though like you see the name Nuggets, probably for the casual fan doesn't get people excited. Kind of like what we talked about with the hockey uh, conference finals. Like, I'm sure true hockey fans are looking at these conference finals and thinking they're going to be awesome. Ended up not being. We'll talk about that a little bit. Both series are 3-0 right now, uh, but like the casual fan looks and sees the Nuggets, and they're probably like, like it's not a big name team like the Lakers or the Celtics or the Warriors. Uh, but this team is probably one of the most fun NBA teams or the most fun I've had watching an NBA team in the last couple of years, just with how fun their offense is to watch.
Yeah, I agreed. I think they're one of the most complete teams that has gone through the NBA playoffs in a while. I mean, obviously the Warrior teams are they're on their own tier.
Yeah,
Even last year, I feel like in a way, but that those Warriors teams were just on another level. I mean, no one's really gonna ever top that. But yeah, like both sides of the ball, they're just very good and just so complete. I mean, you have guys like Aaron Gordon who have come back from ACL tears, are playing big minutes and getting big baskets for the Nuggets. Michael Porter Jr. has had multiple injuries, his back injuries. Jamal Murray's been out for what feels like 5 years now with his ACL tear. I mean, I think the last time that he truly played was the bubble.
yeah,
And for Jokic to finally have all those guys back, it's crazy to see. Like, it's a big what if. What if Jamal Murray never got hurt? What if Michael Porter was able to stay healthy? We could be talking like, hey, Jokic should be going for his second, maybe even third ring right now. And but they're a very good team, and like you said, I think regardless of who they play, I think they're going to be a heavy favorite in the finals.
yeah. Like we kind of talked about it at the beginning of the playoffs, and again at the beginning of the series. But this is kind of the first time, even in the bubble, they had some injuries, if I remember right. But this is kind of the first time in a long time that maybe ever. I mean, I think they might have been healthy in the bubble, but I feel like they had at least one injury that kind of brought them down. But this is one of the first times that the Nuggets are really like fully healthy, like in the playoffs, especially with Murray. Like you mentioned, he's been out or at least like not 100% in several of the more recent playoff series in the last couple of years, and some of their attempted runs that didn't really come to fruition. But uh, now just seeing this Nuggets team at full strength, uh, like uh, for a playoff run, everyone's fully healthy. Obviously, not everyone's fully healthy. It's the end of the regular season, like they all got, or the end of the playoffs. They all got some bumps and bruises, but for the most part, fully healthy. Uh, it's just like it does make you think like, what if like uh, where the Nuggets could be right now if they had been healthy the last couple of years. I'm not sure where they're all at with contract stuff like that, but hopefully they can get that all figured out and kind of try to keep this run going, even though it might be a little delayed from what we all thought it could have been if they were healthy, because this is looking like it could be kind of another uh, revelation of that Warriors dynasty. Maybe not to that extent, obviously, because that was kind of a crazy run, but this could be another one of those types of runs if they can keep everyone together, or at least keep fresh new role players coming in over the next couple of years. But if they can keep this core of like Jokic, Murray, uh, a guy like Porter, if they can keep that kind of together, this could be a fun team to watch over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I think you're entirely right. It's good to see what I feel like the Nuggets organization as a whole has been uh, kind of working for, obviously, but kind of earned in a way. They've kind of blown through these playoffs and it's kind of gone under the radar with, obviously, you had the Lakers, Warriors, Steph versus LeBron, so that was big media attention. Then you had Jimmy Butler and then you have the Celtics Sixers series, and then you have the Heat Celtics series where it's look at the Celtics, they're not playing well. What can the Celtics do? And then you have Jimmy Butler over here, and then it's all, I just feel like they've gone very under the radar with these playoffs, and it's good to see them in the finals. I think it'll be a good series regardless of who they play.
Yeah, I think Michael Malone has talked about that a lot in his press conferences, stuff like that. Like they're the one seed that they rolled through the West. Let's see, like their first series, I can't remember who they played, but I don't think that was
T-Wolves.
T-Wolves. That wasn't more than 5 games, I don't think. And who they play next?
Suns. No. Yeah, Suns, right?
Yeah, because the Suns beat the Clippers.
It was Lakers Warriors. Yep.
That series wasn't anything.
I think it was over in 6, wasn't it?
Yeah.
5 or 6.
And then now sweeping LeBron and the Lakers. They're just kind of rolling through these Western Conference Finals, and no one's really even talking about them. So they feel kind of disrespected, even as a 1 seed. I feel like part of that's being out West. Like, unless you're the Lakers or kind of this year the Suns, just with all the stars they had, I feel like these teams out West kind of don't get as much attention as they should. Part of that's just their games being played at like 9, 10 o'clock at night for people on the East Coast. Like they're not staying up to watch these midweek games, especially throughout the regular season. And now people got to start paying attention to them. Now they're in the finals. But yeah, you got any last thoughts on this series before we talk Bron?
I don't, but let's talk Bron.
So as you mentioned, LeBron defers all the comments and questions and concerns about being swept with bringing up that he might retire. I want to get your thoughts on it first, because I have I guess, I don't know if it'd be a theory or a hypothesis. I can't remember which one's which from 8th grade science, but I have I guess a theory on what's going to happen.
Let's hear it.
Well, I want to hear yours first and see if it lines up.
My theory on LeBron's retirement?
Yeah.
I think he was 100% going to come back. I think he's just milking this entire thing for attention.
That would not surprise me.
I think there's no doubt in his mind that he's going to come back and play. But I think he's just kind of dangling the carrot in a way for the media. Say, hey, talk about me, look at me.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think this is going to happen. I think what you said is going to happen. I think he will come back, but what I would not be surprised about is if he does retire after this year, kind of takes this year to rest up the body, keep training a little bit, be able to watch Bronny at USC, and then wherever Bronny gets drafted, come out of retirement, play a year or 2 with them, get that rest back. The thing, too, though, is being 38, I mean, if anyone could do it, it's LeBron, with like how much he spends on nutrition and training and making sure his body's at the best capability it can be. Which I do have to say, if LeBron or if Michael did all that, he would be even 10 times better. But Michael decided instead to just play 36 holes a day and drink and gamble.
Nothing wrong with that.
And still won 6 chips and is the greatest player of all time. But with how much money like LeBron puts into his body, if anyone can take a year off at 39 years old and come back at 40, it's him. So I would not be surprised to see him take this year off, kind of get rid of some of those bumps and bruises, and get his body back to being at as good a shape it can be in at 40 of when he would come back, and then just sign with wherever Bronny gets drafted to.
I think you could be right there. One thing that I will critique on that is if he does retire, like you said, goes to watch Bronny at USC and then goes and plays a couple of years where Bronny gets drafted too. Which, I mean, side note here, if LeBron does retire, does that hurt Bronny's draft stock? Something to think about.
I would say if he retires and stays retired, I think it does. I think even if LeBron ends up not playing with Bronny and not staying that long, whether it's he retires after this year or plays next year and says, you know what, I wanted to do this, but I just can't. Uh, I think that hurts Bronny's stock a little bit. I think just the idea of having Bronny, especially for like a late first round team, like those teams are already like well established, like have players have had success. If they're drafting that late in the first round, like their picks don't matter as much. I feel like at that point, then it might just be a marketing strategy where like the owner's like, hey, we're drafting Bronny. Like I don't care if there's a guy you like a little bit better. Uh, we need to get Bronny so we can sell tickets and sell jerseys and stuff. Uh, so I think it would hurt a little bit, but I think I still think even if LeBron won't play with him, I think he'll still get drafted high because of the marketing side of it. Uh, I think at least one team will take that chance, but I think if he does retire and it's kind of like back channeled, like maybe it doesn't come out public, but it's kind of known, like hey, he's coming back. Uh, like he's gonna sign with whoever takes him. Then I think uh, he'll get drafted where he would get drafted if LeBron played next year, anyways. Which I'm not saying like I don't think he'll be top 10, but I think you could see him moving from like honestly probably we'll see how he plays at USC, but he probably shouldn't get drafted in the first round next year if his name wasn't James, but he'll probably get drafted next year. Like if I had to guess, if LeBron goes wherever he goes, he gets drafted like outside of the lottery, but like 15 to 22 somewhere in there. And if LeBron doesn't play with him, he's like 25 to 30 somewhere in there. Just because I think the marketing side of it, and this might be coming from a business major, uh, taking all these marketing classes and stuff, but I think the I think the marketing aspect of it, I think you're going to get at least one team to fall into that and be like, you know what, let's just take the risk. Like, who cares? But I don't. Like I said, hasn't even probably gotten to campus yet at USC. Hasn't even gone through workouts and summer stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't think he'll even start at USC this year. I mean, Boogie Ellis came back.
Yeah, and they've got some transfers, haven't they?
Yeah, they brought in a transfer guard, if I remember right. They brought in a top 10 high school guard along with Bronny. So it's like,
I
he
think
might
they
not.
got a transfer from Arkansas too. That could be the guard I'm thinking of.
I think you're right. Um, but yeah, I don't think he'll even start at USC, but I mean, we'll see. But definitely this whole thing is very interesting. The Bronny aspect makes it much more interesting. But yeah, well, I'm sure we'll figure something out. I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls a Tom Brady and retire. I wouldn't be surprised if he says he's retiring in June and then in August says he's coming back. Like you just like he's one of those guys with just like all the shit that he's pulled, like the decision
The
for
decision.
one.
I was just about to say that.
Like obviously he's matured since then. He was like 23 or 24 when he did that. Probably I think he's said in interviews and stuff that he regrets doing it, but still like he does a lot of things that are definitely for the cameras and stuff like that, whether that's on the court or off the court. So nothing would really surprise me in this potential retirement, whether it happens or not, whether he says he's going to do it and ends up not, whether he does it for a year, waits for Bronny, and then comes back. I just think there's a lot here that I wouldn't be surprised about. Just about anything. would not surprise me with this.
Yeah, I think this whole entire thing's the tip of the iceberg right now, and we'll see how it all shakes out. But there's a lot of possibilities that are running through my head right now that I would not be surprised by a lot.
You know what would be the most LeBron thing ever? If if the NBA Finals goes to it's like 3-3 going to a game 7, and then like an hour before he says that he is retiring, and
Yes,
then
I could so see that.
like a month later says, just kidding, like I found a new love for the game or something like
Yeah,
that. Like just to get people talking about him, and it's like after the game, like say the Nuggets win or something like that. Instead of everyone talking about how the Nuggets just won the NBA championship, it's just like, oh my God, LeBron retired. Like, or if it happened literally like whoever wins the finals, like 10 minutes later, LeBron tweets out like, yeah, I'm retiring. Like nothing.
I think you're right.
There's almost nothing that would surprise me with this process.
What if he went and did like media, like Tom Brady's gonna do? Like, what if he went and joined NBA on TNT or something like that? First of all, I would hate it because he would make it all about himself.
Yeah,
But I don't think it's off the board.
it's definitely not off the board. I mean, the second he retires, uh, he's probably going to get a ton of money thrown at him to
What
do
if he joins
TV.
the Live Tour?
If he's good at golf too, that'll piss me off. I like Jordan. We know played golf all the time. I haven't seen anything about LeBron playing golf ever, so I really hope he doesn't play golf, and I really, really hope if he does, he's not good at it. Uh, but that wouldn't surprise me either, dude. Like, imagine if he joined the Live Tour for like 300 million a year,
Him and
and
Koepka are on the same team. He joins the Aces with Dustin Johnson.
they're both what is it, like Team Smash or something like that. Like,
Yeah, it's like Smash or Crushers, something like that.
I think there's a Smash and a Crushers. It's like the
I think you're
Aces.
right. I think Crushers is like captained by DeChambeau,
Yeah,
and
I
then
think so.
Smash is captained by Brooksy.
Yeah. Well, actually, this is perfect if we want to transition into golf. If you don't,
Let's do it.
that's called a segue right there. Excuse me for that. But yeah, I saw this hilarious tweet. It was on. I saw it through PMT. I think. Well, I'm pretty sure it was where it came from. But some golf reporter was uh, like 2 years ago in 2021, after Koepka's like doing so terrible at all these majors when he's hurt. It's like, what if I told you 2 years later that uh, Crushers captain Bryson DeChambeau
Yeah.
would be the first to congratulate Smash captain Brooks Koepka on the 18th green at Oak Hill for his fifth major. Because it's like there's so many things unpacked in there where it's like uh, the Live Tour obviously is new. Just 2 years ago, Brooks and Bryson was like the biggest
They hated
rivalry
each
in
other.
golf. Like just 2 years ago was when I don't know if you've seen that video when Bryson like walks behind Brooks and Brooks just like looks at him and goes like, "Oh fuck that guy!" Like
Yeah, because
while he's like
he had
in
like his
front of the
metal
media.
spikes. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like,
that's what it
you gotta be
was.
fucking kidding me.
Yeah, he's walking behind his metal spikes, and like Brooks just like looks at him and looks at him and he's like, "You gotta be fucking kidding me!" And he's like literally doing like
Yeah, there's like
media.
16 reporters around him.
It's like that's how much he hated him. Like, and now obviously I don't think I wouldn't call them the best of friends, but obviously like they've both grown up a little bit too, so that relationship has kind of matured a little bit. But I just thought that tweet was hilarious because there's so many new things that have come from this where it's like 2 years ago, and this is kind of what I want to talk about with Kepka. 2 years ago he looked like he was at the lowest of lows, like even last year too. And I think we've talked about it before, but you've watched Full Swing, right?
Yeah.
But like that Kepka episode, it's like I was not a big Kepka fan after I liked Brooks the whole time coming up, like until he left for Live. And then like kind of watching that documentary kind of changed my opinion about him a little bit. Like I really hated him when he went to Live, but then I saw that and it's like that dude just looked he was down in the dumps and like just like he said before, he probably came back from that knee injury a little bit too quick, uh, and then just wasn't really healthy trying to play through that. And then golf is such a mental game, and then that comes into effect. Uh, and now to be back on the mountaintop, winning his fifth major, tied for second in the Masters. Probably should have won that tournament and kind of blew it a little bit. I think he let Patrick Cantlay's extremely slow play get to him a little bit and kind of frustrate him mentally. Uh, and now he like matured from that, even just that short time of like a month and a half. Now he's got his fifth major, and he looks like he's one of the best golfers in the world right now.
Yeah, I'm very happy for Brooksy. I've always been a Brooksy fan. I like you said, I liked him a lot. I wasn't too happy with the decision to go to Live, but I guess if I was getting paid that kind of money, everyone's got their price.
And it makes sense too with like where he was at in his career. Now looking back at it, like I think he said before, he's like, I don't know if I would have done it if I knew I could get back to where I was, but at the time I thought I was never getting out of it. Like just that slump he was in. So it makes sense, but keep going with what you were saying.
And I heard this on PMT as well, and I think they were saying how the Live Tour is made perfectly for Brooks Koepka
Yeah.
because you go out and you make a crap ton of money, you play less golf, make more money. And Brooksy hated playing in the little PGA Tour events. You know, he hated playing the RBC, the Wells Fargo, the Canadian Open. Like he did not that's not why he was on the tour. He hated playing those. Well, Brooksy loves playing his majors. So if you can go out to the Live Tour, make more money, play less golf, and still be able to come over to the PGA Tour and play the majors, it's a dream scenario for Brooks Koepka there. And I'm glad for him. I'm really glad for him because I feel like you can't say this is a fluke because he was the 3-day leader going into Sunday at the Masters. Where he had a 3 or 4 shot lead over Rahm.
Yeah.
And we're gonna blame Patrick Cantlay on that one. But good for Brooksy. He's just a great guy. He's a good character to have in golf. Something a little different than the other players in the tour, where it's just golf, 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 golf constantly. Like he's one of those guys who I'm just gonna go out and play golf, and
Yeah.
I want to win. You know.
Yeah. It definitely like I think part of him wishes a little bit or some more guys went to Live, or that he maybe didn't leave the PGA just because like it looks like when that competitiveness is at its highest is when he's playing his best. When he went on that crazy run back in 17, 18, and 19, and now when he's on this run again, you can tell like these bigger moments, like he thrives in them. But take out that Masters Sunday a month ago, did not step up that one. But also at the same time, that was his first major coming back. Like now that he feels 100% again, so like I'm not going to give him too much of a hard time for that one. Still, like I said, still finished tied for second. Was like you said the leader after 54 holes. But like every time something started to go wrong for Brooks today, like it just looked like every time like a drive went in the rough or um, like didn't hit an iron well or something like that. You could get hit a bad approach shot, hits a good 2-putt, comes out with a par, doesn't compound mistakes like we saw kind of in like 20 and 21 and 22 when he was kind of not playing his best golf. And then now like you see him starting to get back to that phase of every time something goes wrong, instead of like just getting like having those things add up and add up and add up and turn into bogey here, double there, bogey here, like miss a 5-footer for birdie or something like that. Now he's starting to kind of get back to not letting those mistakes add up on each other and just playing consistent golf while also being able to be one of the best golfers in the country or in the world right now. And just, like didn't let the pressure get to him. I know like he had a couple bogeys on the back that kind of brought Hovland in close, and I feel like if this was last year, I think he would have crumbled, and because I think he was up like two or three strokes on Hovland, and then had a couple bogeys, comes down to one stroke. He was 8 under, and Hovland was 7. And I was kind of worried, like, is this the point where he collapses and then he just comes back with a birdie, ends up at 10 under, I think it was, or 9 under, and wins the tournament. And I think the old Brooks is back, and it's a lot of fun to see.
I got some stats for you here that I think are really interesting.
Love it.
And by no means am I saying that Brooks Koepka is on the level of Tiger Woods, but it is something kind of to look at. So for starts, Brooks, this is all career major records. Brooksy's got 36 starts, Tiger's 91. The win percentage is 14% Brooksy, 16% Tiger. Top 3 percentage, 25% Brooks, 28% Tiger. Top 5, 39% Brooks, 36% Tiger. And top 10, 50% Brooks, 45% Tiger. Kind of weird.
It's kind of crazy, like you said, not by any means saying he's Tiger, even in Tiger's realm, but when he's playing his best, which, like I said, is what we saw in 17, 18, 19 when he wins those 2 U.S. Opens and 2 PGA Championships, and now what we're starting to see again, he's up there as one of the top golfers in the world and one of the better golfers of all time. Obviously, he's only at 5 majors right now, which it's kind of crazy to say only 5 because of the way that Jack and Tiger just kind of blew that out of the water. Jack having 18, Tiger having 15. Because you look at it, everyone else is at there's one guy at 11, one guy at 10, 2 guys at 9, 3 guys at 8, 2 guys at 7, 2 or 3 guys at 6, 4 or 5 guys at 5, or I think there's only he became the 6th or 7th guy to reach 5 majors. So it's to say only 5 is kind of just also to show just how absurd Tiger Woods was getting to 15. But it's you have to say that he's one of the better golfers of all time because he's one of 25 or 30 guys to ever win 5 majors in their career. And I feel like he's not even close to done. I mean, if he can stay healthy, keep competing the way he has these last 2 majors, I don't see any reason why over the next couple of years he can't turn into a guy who wins 8 or 9 or maybe even get to double digits. Obviously, we thought the same with Jordan back in 15 and 16 or 14 and 15, I think, when he went on that run of winning 4 in a 2 or 3 year span. And then Rory also has been stuck on 4 for 9 years now. So by no means am I saying it's a guarantee he's going to get to 9 or 10, but the way he's playing, he's putting himself with opportunity, and he's still got a lot of golf ahead of him. I think is he even 30 yet? If not,
we'll find out. I think he is over 30, but I don't think it's very high.
If not, if he is, he's 31 or 32 max, I think.
He's 33.
33. Oh, that's wrong. But still young. Still has a lot of golf, a lot of competitive golf in front of him. I feel like once golfers can go being pretty competitive till they're in the 40 to 43 range, that's dependent on the guy, obviously. It's different with every guy, but I feel like that's when you start to see the significant drop off. So he's still got 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, where he can really be competitive the way, with how far he hits the ball off the tee, and the way his irons have been looking too have been pretty good. So it's I wouldn't be surprised if he can pull something out either in LA or in England for the Open, and then next year too. I think he'll be very competitive. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he can get to 8 or 9 majors and kind of set himself apart as one of the top golfers of all time.
Yeah, I think you're right. Brooksy is. I think we're just starting to see what. I think he's gonna go on another little run.
Yeah,
that he has. I think within the next 3-4 years, I mean, he's already got one under his belt, major-wise. But I would not be surprised if he's up to 2, 3, or 4 majors in the next 3-4 years.
Yeah, and like I also like I don't want to overreact to two good major outings. Like, but at the same time, it's like it's not really overreacting to two major outings. It's kind of like getting back to where he was. I feel like
Because we've
COVID.
seen what he's been at, so it's not like anything crazy to say.
I feel like COVID kind of threw him off too. Like right when he was in the middle of his hot streak, COVID comes, and then he comes back, gets hurt, uh, comes back too early from the injury. Mental stuff's going on. Now he's got all that cleaned up. Like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if he can go on another run like he did uh, in 17, 18, and 19. I think the Grand Slam is not out of the realm of possibility. I think he's had two finishes at second at Augusta, so it's very possible that he can get over that hump. I feel like the Open has always been kind of tough for him. Just the way links golf is, it's tough for a lot of players. It's you play two tournaments a year with that style. With most guys going over the week before to play the Scottish Open, and then playing the Open the week after. So it's like just a completely different type of golf for one, maybe 2 weekends if you decide to go over early. Uh, so that one's always just kind of a crapshoot. Like you never really know what's going to happen there. But uh, like the Grand Slam's not out of the realm of possibility, and getting a couple more majors, especially like I feel like he's always perfect for the U.S. Open and the PGA. Just the way those courses always seem to set up, they're always some of the tougher courses in the country. Like I said coming into this tournament last week that I thought the winner was going to be around 6 or 7 under. Brooks ended up getting a 9, but as we saw with almost everyone else in the tournament, I think there was like 15. There was less than 15 because Michael Block, which I also want to talk about, ended up tied for 15th at 1 over. But so there's only like 11 guys, uh, or yeah, something like that, 10 or 11 guys that ended up under par at this tournament, and he was 9 under. Had a tough Thursday, shot a 72, which at Oak Hill, par is a 70, so ended up 2 over. Then goes 66, 66, 67, especially that Saturday round. For me, like I thought that was remarkable with how bad everyone else was playing with those weather conditions and everything. And for him to come out and shoot a 66 and kind of put himself into position to have a real shot at winning, had the lead after 54 holes going into Sunday. But the way he played on Saturday, I thought put him in perfect position to have a good shot at winning Sunday, and he ended up doing it.
Yeah, I'm very glad to see Brooksy back at the top because I mean the documentary, Full Swing documentary, kind of highlighted it perfectly. But the struggles that he had to come back and do what he's been doing, even at the Masters, like I said, 54 hole leader, and then to go out and win the PGA, I'm very glad to see him back at the top. But like you said, yeah, the Michael Block thing, I do want to talk about that.
Yeah, I
It's
was gonna say
crazy to
let's get
look
to
at
that.
the that hole in one that he had on 15, I believe. It's weird to look at that hole in one was what got him an invite to next year's PGA. And it's weird to say because, like, I mean, even if he birdies it, he doesn't get the invite.
Yeah,
But he goes out and hits a hole in one, and then sinks a 5-6 footer on
that
18
that up and
that
down on
crawls in.
18 was insane.
Yeah, for him to, and it's a crazy story. It's I mean, I certainly did not know who he was going into this weekend, but I think he's kind of put his name on the map, and definitely someone that will be talked about, and the big focus on the media come next PGA Championship.
Yeah, like you said, gets that hole in one on 15, and then that up and down on 18, uh, to put him at 1 over on the day, and 1 over for the tournament. Gets him tied for 15th. so he's got a exemption for next year's PGA. Doesn't have to try out like he normally has, or go through those qualifying rounds like he has in his previous PGA Championship experiences. But uh, he's like it was just a really fun story. I think on Thursday when he goes, uh, Thursday he goes even. He has that time where he's walking down 14 and he's on. He's getting interviewed by the ESPN guys. It was kind of like a fun, cute story. Friday comes out, shoots even par again, where it's like, all right, this guy's gonna make the cut. Like that's pretty cool. Saturday, like I said, terrible weather conditions, shoots even again, and then he's like tied for eighth going into Sunday. Then shoots one over on Sunday, but like ends up tied for 15th, gets that exemption, and uh, it was a really fun story, and it turned out that he's pretty good at golf, and like he's played tour events before, even this year, through qualifying and stuff like that. But to see a club pro like that be able to compete that well when so many other guys were not, like Rahm shot like six over, uh, like there's so many names that you look at that he beat this weekend. And it's like it's insane, but gets a exemption into the Charles Schwab this weekend in down in Texas. So got a chance to play in a couple more PGA events this year. I know he already got an exemption to the RBC Canadian as well. I'm sure he'll get, if he plays well at this Charles Schwab, I'm sure he'll get more sponsorship exemptions coming up. And also, if he performs well, he'll get exemptions due to that. Um, will be kind of interesting to see. Like, I feel like obviously too, he's old, so he's older in terms of like the golf standpoint. So he's like, we'll see how playing in 72 hole tournaments back to back weeks, how he does with that. Um, but this could turn into a fun story for the whole season and not just this week. But I feel like this tournament coming up will be very interesting to see if that's the case or not.
I think I did see that he was 500 to 1 doing the Charles Schwab.
Yeah.
So maybe we sprinkle just a little bit on that.
Yeah, a little bit of dough on that. I'm not gonna lie, I was gonna take money on him to miss the cut, and then it was like minus 215. So I was like, like if it was plus money, if people were, I might check it again if everyone was betting on him to make the cut in
Yeah,
the
maybe
line.
everyone's riding the Michael Block wave, and you can get some good value there.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I don't, if I had to, again, I also don't want to like tamper the story or like disrespect the story at all. Like it was an awesome story, but the people who are also thinking that this guy's gonna come out and like get all these exemptions into majors and uh, become like the next great golfer, like taking it a little bit too far. Like let's just kind of enjoy the story where it is right now and how remarkable it was. But uh, it was great. That hole in one on 15, like you said, was awesome. Just like the coolest moment ever. He didn't even know it went in, which part of me doesn't believe. I think he was a little bit of a showman this week. Cried a lot on camera, but
He's a crier.
still was an awesome moment. Awesome week for him, and now he's got another shot both this upcoming weekend at the Charles Schwab, and he's got an exemption into the PGA next year, so we'll see him again. But any last thoughts on Block? Because I got a couple more thoughts on some other golfers too that I want to talk.
No, I don't.
So yeah, like I said, Rahm played pretty poorly. Uh, kind of disappointing to see that, but at the same time, like it was a tough course, tough major. I think it was hole 12, I believe, that par three that was like 245 yards. I don't know if you saw that video where he has to take like a 4-iron on that, ends up like landing in the middle of the green, and just like with the way that you have to hit that shot, it just like takes one bounce and skirts way back like off the green, and he just goes like great fucking hole PGA or something like that. It's just like just that kind of week for him. It seemed like, so he struggled a lot, which was tough. But Rory played all right, kind of brought himself back into contention after a tougher first day, especially tough start to it. Kind of worked his way back. I think he ended up Thursday at 1 or 2 over. Was able to make the cut. Had a good day Saturday and was able to finish in the top 10. So he finished pretty well. Spieth, another one who had a real tough weekend. JT didn't have a great weekend. So a lot of the big names struggled this week, which was kind of disappointing to see. But it was a really fun golf tournament.
Yeah, speaking of like meltdowns, like the Rom one, did you see the video of Spieth?
Yeah.
That video is hilarious.
Yeah, like can't hit a fucking iron or something like
Yeah,
that.
hit one fucking good iron shot.
Yeah.
One of us.
Yeah.
Sounds like me on the course.
It is kind of fun every once in a while. Like I do want to see good golf, but at the same time, it is kind of fun to see these great golfers struggle from time to time and make myself feel a little better when I go out and shoot like a 95 and I'm upset about it. And it's like, dude, like be proud, like just be thankful you're shooting under 100 and that you can
Yeah.
hit the golf ball and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But uh, speaking of that, I am gonna go play golf this afternoon, which is why I got the polo on. If you're watching on the YouTube, also subscribe to the YouTube. I think we have 2 subscribers right now, and it's me and my dad. So
No, I'm subscribed to it.
or
I
we
think
got,
three.
we got 3. So check out the YouTube. You can see some facial expressions, and it's a fun way to view it. But yeah, fun golf tournament. I'm excited. I was not planning on watching the Charles Schwab this weekend, but now Michael Block's in it, and I kind of want to see how he does. So I feel like too, like some of these smaller tournaments, again going back to that marketing strategy. Big business guy over here, coming up with all these ideas. Throw Michael Block in as a sponsorship exemption. You'll get people to watch. Like I'm sure Charles Schwab TV viewership is going to go up a lot more than previous years because people want to see how Michael Block's doing, especially if he makes the cut and makes it to the weekend. Well, actually, I do want one more thing on Michael Block. It was kind of funny where it's like they play him up all Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They're showing like almost every shot from him. Then Sunday comes around, it's like I know he's not in contention for the championship, but like it's not like he's playing bad. Like he's still hanging around. Like he's still in the top 20. Ended up in the top 15. Was in. I think he got up to like on Sunday at one point. I think he was at like 6th. I think was the highest he got. I know he came into the day 8th. Um, it's like, dude, like the guy's still like in the tournament. You don't have to show us uh, Koepka and Hovland like just walking down the fairway to their shots. Like you can kind of pan over to him and just show a couple shots of his. Like I'm glad they showed the 15th and the 18th, obviously, but uh, that was my one gripe from CBS for the weekend. Didn't show much Michael Block on Sunday, but we got to see the fun parts, so that was exciting.
And one thing all about like with CVS is they didn't have the hole in one as a live reaction with Nance. It was like they already knew it happened, but nobody else knew it happened. So the reaction was kind of, dulled down a little bit. So it would have been nice to see the live reaction if they had, if they were following him, like, because I mean he was one of the last groups too. There's not a lot of groups out there playing.
Yeah,
So block. We don't
Yeah.
need to see Koepka and Hovland talking to the rules officials. Like, show us Michael Block. We need Michael Block.
yeah. Nance did say something like something about like, and the magical run keeps continuing here on 15 or something like that. And he said something else that was like very much like you knew something was gonna happen.
You
But,
either
like,
knew he was gonna make it or just put it real close and just throw a dart.
yeah, like I thought he was gonna throw a dart and then so at least like the going in part was surprising to me. But like once Nance said that, I was like kind of like, huh? Like something's gotta happen here. And I thought he was gonna put it to like a foot or something like that. But so at least it was still like somewhat a surprise that it went in. But yeah, he kind of gave it away. Especially too, like I feel like one thing with like watching these golf tournaments is that whenever they go to a guy who's not in contention really, uh, you always know that a great shot, or just like the worst shot of all time is going to come up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like they could have taken that aspect away if they showed him a little bit more. Because I mean, I feel like a lot of people tuned in to see that. Like obviously the the more diehard fans and even the casual fans are watching to see who wins. Uh, But I feel like you had a lot of casual fans in there that probably normally wouldn't even turned it on if they didn't see all this Michael Block stuff throughout the week, and then they're like, oh, let's check out how this guy's doing. Like even my mom, like who never like when I'm on a Sunday when I'm laying on the couch watching golf, like she'll look by and like look at the leaderboard, but like this weekend she was like sitting down and actually watching it just to see what Michael Block was doing, and then on Sunday they don't show him like at all except for those couple shots. So I don't know. I'm not a TV exec, so I don't.
That's probably why we're not TV execs either.
Yeah, yeah. But any last thoughts on the PGA Championship?
No, but one thing I do want to add: the U.S. Open's coming up. I think.
Oh, your boy. I do want to talk about your boy a little bit, but you go first.
So yeah, the U.S. Open's coming up. I think Sunday is the 18th. So that'll be the final day of it. We will try to get. We will get in-person podcast rolling there with all the boys there. And then I'm going to reach out to a friend of the program, Max Kellerman, see if he wants to hop on, give us some more in-depth golf analysis for the upcoming U.S. Open, maybe Monday or Tuesday of that week, so you guys can hear a little bit more from an actual golfer than us casual golfers who love to go out and play. But we'll see if I can get him on and see what he has to say about this. But also on, like you said, but Max Homa just scratch it down as the U.S. Open winner. It's at LA Country Club. Just scratch Max Homa down as the winner. If you bet on anybody else, you're just kind of handing money to the sports books. So if you want to win money, put it on Max Homa.
Yeah. Struggled to start the week. Kind of put himself in a bad spot, but came back, made the cut. Looked like he could find his way into contention at some points. Like needed a really good Saturday. Didn't quite get exactly what he was looking for. Had a solid day, but not enough to kind of get him back into the race really. But yeah, your boy continues to kind of struggle at majors. So are you thinking a couple weeks from now in LA is the one where we can like at least get into the top 10? Like his best finish right now is tied for 14th, like at a major.
I think Max Homa is your U.S. Open champ. Script leaked. I actually just got a letter from the PGA lending me the script for the U.S. Open. Max Homa is going to win the U.S. Open at minus 14 under.
At the U.S. Open?
Yeah.
So usually like 3 or 4 under wins the U.S. Open. Your boy's going
Script
14
leak,
under?
Man. I got it. I just got it right before we started recording. So leak Max Homa minus 14 under. There may or may not, I don't want to leak it too much, but there may or may not be a course record round in there. It's either Friday or Saturday. I'll leave that one up to you guys.
Thanks for the info. But yeah, we got more exciting golf coming up in the next couple of weeks. Like you said, we're gonna do our very best to be able to get a live show. It's not very often that we can get Adam outside of Arizona. So when the time comes, we try to take it as much as we can. Hopefully I won't have to work on that Sunday, and I'll be able to come back that weekend, and we can get something in person. But yeah, I think we'll try to do that for the U.S. Open, and like you said, get Max on. Earlier in the week we did it for the Masters. We kind of forgot to do it for this major, but we'll try getting him on every Masters. I know a lot of people liked hearing him on the Masters preview. He brings a lot of good insight that we don't really think of as much because he actually like knows the sport much better than we do. We try to act like we know what's going on, but I can't tell you like how a golf course is, like how that helps and hurts different players, but he can do that a lot better. So be fun to get him on that week, and then hopefully be able to get a live in person episode that day. But I guess my last thing we are a college basketball podcast, so I will say that to wrap this up, I'll be quick and brief with this, but Ray J. Dennis, who I've long thought was the next point guard for the Illinois Fighting Illini, appears to not be anymore. Kind of a heartbreaker there. Looks like we might end up losing to Utah or Baylor. I'm praying that it's Baylor. Like at least if he goes to Baylor, I can be like, all right, it's Baylor. Like they have a good history of guards, especially these last couple years. But if he goes to Utah, I might just give up and be done with basketball forever.
That's not true.
It's not, but I'll want to for like 2 hours, and then I'll hear about the next point guard that we're trying to go after, and then talk myself into him being a Bob Cousy Award winner and Illinois going to the Final Four. But I don't think there's much other college basketball stuff going on. Trying to think if I've heard anything about portal stuff. Gavitt games were released. Illinois is hosting Marquette. Butler is going to Michigan State. So that'll be interesting for me. Might get to go to East Lansing. I don't know. I might decide not to go to that. Since I'm assuming that no coaches are listening to this, especially this far deep into it, I will say I hate going on road trips for Butler basketball because when I don't go on them, I get a couple days off where I get to just relax and do nothing. So those are always kind of nice. And I really don't want to go to Michigan State and watch us lose by 30 because I think Michigan State's going to be very good this year. So, but yeah, some non-conference games are starting to get released, so that's exciting. Trying to think if there's anything else. You got anything that you know is going on in college basketball?
No, I haven't really heard of too much. I mean, I guess as a Duke fan, one thing I have seen is that Duke has been jumping up the AP poll, and now they're like 1 or 2 for preseason. So that's something that makes you feel good inside.
Yeah, they're going to be very good this year. Illinois, still don't know. Terrence Shannon Jr. and Coleman Hawkins still yet to announce what they're going to do. I think they got like 4 more days to figure that out. So we'll see what happens there. That's kind of a make or break for this year between us possibly being like top 4 in the Big Ten or bottom 4. So we'll see how that goes. Portal's pretty much over. I mean, some final guys are making their last decisions, but rosters are getting close to being set.
I guess we did have Caleb Love decommit.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Caleb Love decommits from Michigan due to some transfer credit, academic issues, admission issues, something along those lines. So
second year in a row for Michigan.
He is back on the market, and that'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Yeah, they had the same thing with Terrence Shannon Jr. last year. Supposedly, he didn't actually commit, though, is the only difference. Supposedly, he was going to commit and then couldn't get into Michigan and then came to Illinois, which thank you, Michigan, for being tough to get into.
I didn't know Michigan was that tough to get into, though.
Michigan is – well, Illinois used to be like that, too, and then Underwood and Bielema kind of like bitched out administration and were like, hey, like the rest of the students, it can be hard for them to get in, but like if we want to bring a transfer point guard in or a transfer quarterback, like please just let him come. Like
yeah.
just waive the rules, please. But yeah, Michigan's a great school. I'll give them that. Great academics, and I thank them for that. I wish it didn't work out this time because I was really wanting Caleb Love to go to Michigan and kind of ruin that team. But now hopefully he goes to IU and ruins them. So
if he goes to IU, man, that's that could either be a very, very good team or Caleb Love could come in like Kyrie Irving and destroy that team.
I'm hoping for the latter. I'm hoping because I think IU is going to be very good this year, and I think if they take Caleb Love, like you said, if Mike Woodson can find a way to like calm him down and like get him more organized, I think they could be very, very, very good. But if Caleb Love plays like he has pretty much anytime besides like the last 4 games of the regular season and the postseason of 2021, uh, I think things could be, or 2022. I mean, uh, I think things could be pretty tough for IU if they take them, but I don't know. We'll see. I think that's about all I got. Do you have anything?
I don't know.
All right. Well, guess we'll get one of these out again next week. We're kind of in like the slow time where we're probably just gonna be doing one a week, except for like majors for golf. We'll probably try to get 2 in. Like adding in Max for an extra kind of little bonus episode. But right now we're just kind of doing one of these a week until we get back into college basketball. Football will probably. We were talking about this a little bit before, just a little programming note. I know it's only the end of May right now, so we got a couple weeks, but I think we're gonna try doing like 2 a week during football season, get back into that rotation. College football's coming up quicker than we think, hopefully. Part of me wants the summer to last really long. Part of me is ready for Illinois versus Toledo on September 2nd to get here as fast as possible. So, but yeah, we'll have a little bit of summer where things will kind of be dying down. So we're only going to be doing one of these a week. It's kind of hard to find things to talk about right now, or especially after NBA is over. But yeah, I guess that's kind of all I got. So appreciate you guys listening. Again, check out the YouTube. We helps us out if you subscribe. More people see it. So or listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and everything else. So appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you next week.